All right, everybody. It is 8:30 at night. I hope that tells you how much I really want you to succeed. I am here to make a video for you so that you don't lose any time while I'm not around. All right, we're looking at changing fractions to decimals, decimals to fractions, decimals to percents, percents to decimals, fractions to percents, and really moving back and forth between fractions, decimals, and percents. Being able to convert back and forth between the three different ways of showing the exact same number. We go through it fairly quickly because, again, it's 8:30 at night and I'm tired. And so fractions to decimals, decimals to fractions, we've looked at this in the past, and this was really part of chapter 1, but I want to rehash that a little bit for you just in case you forgot. So remember, if you're changing a fraction to a decimal, you need to divide. The numerator divided by the denominator. So 1 divided by 4. Now, some of you already know what the answer is supposed to be, and that's great. But you are going to come to problems where you don't know off the top of your head what 5/6 is as a decimal. You have to be able to change it. So we divide. 1 divided by 4, we're going to get 0.2, add another 0, pull it down, 5, 0.25. Now, remembering that you can use a calculator in this chapter, that does make it a little bit easier, but we can still do it. 1/3, we're going to do 1 divided by 3, and we can divide and get that we're going to have a repeating 3, 0.3 repeating. Okay, so 0.3 repeating. So fractions to decimals, we divide. Decimals to fractions. Decimals to fractions, don't forget to use your place values, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, etc. And so we're looking at what 0.12 or 12 hundredths is as a fraction. Well, that's 12 100ths. Don't forget to reduce. We always need to reduce. Always, 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 always reduce. When divide by 4, we're going to get 3 25ths. And there's my fraction. So changing decimals to fractions. 5/10ths. 5/10ths. I can divide both those by 5. And get my final fraction then of 1/2. So fractions to decimals, we divide, numerator divided by the denominator. Decimals to fractions, we use that place value to say the number, 12 hundredths, and then we reduce. So we look at that last number, and that becomes our denominator. That's review. Percents. Now percents, for those of you who don't remember, percents are always out of 100. Percents are a way for us to compare things. Remember, if we're comparing numbers, we need to have common denominators if we're going to compare. And so if we need to get those common denominators, we use percents to do that. And so for decimals to percents and percents back to decimals is a really easy way to do this. Now normally I do a little bit of a dance competition and I play a fun song for you. I'm not here today to do that, so we'll maybe do a dance competition next week. The dance that I want you to think about is when we are moving decimals to percents, since it's out of 100, since percents are out of 100, we're going to multiply our decimal by 100. And what happens when you times it by 100, I'm just going to put this times 100 here. Go ahead and put that in. When we multiply by 100, what we really end up doing is we move the decimal point to the right, 2 times to the right, because 100, we times it by 100, we're multiplying it 2 times to the right. So, of course, the Cupid shuffle, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, and you can imagine me dancing horribly in front of you, and you'll laugh at me, and it'll be a wonderful time. We'll all have a good time. But so 0.25 times 100, we're going to move that decimal 2 to the right. We're going to get a 25%. So that times 100 is what's really going on, but what you need to remember is that if we're moving a decimal to a percent, move it to the right, becomes 30%. Now there's a reason the alphabet's up there, we'll get to that in a minute. Percents back to decimals. Same idea. Percents are out of 100, which means we are dividing by 100. And so if I divide by 100, go ahead and write that in there just so you kind of see it and know what's going on. If we're dividing by 100, really we're moving that decimal to the left, 2 times. To the left. And so decimal, 12%, is 0.12. as a decimal. Same thing then with 50.2%, to the left, and we got 0.502. Now, once you get that trick, to the right, to the left, the hardest part ends up being, which one do I use? Do I move to the right or do I move to the left? I forget. And this is where the alphabet comes in. If you're going from decimals to percents, just like in the alphabet, you go to the right. Now, if you are going from percents back to decimals, you go just like in the alphabet to the left. From D to P, we go to the right, just like through the alphabet. From P to D, just like in the alphabet, we go to the left. So from percents to decimals to the left, from decimals to percents to the right. And it's always 2 times because of that 100. To the right, to the right, to the left, to the left. Now, fractions and percents. There's a couple ways you can look at this. Fractions to percents. We know that percents are out of 100. So if I could somehow get from 1/25th to something over 100, I'd have a percent because percents are out of 100. Well, that works out well with 1/25th because I can do 25 times 4 and get 100. Since these are equivalent fractions, equivalent ratios, which we've already talked about, multiply the numerator by 4, I get 4 out of 100, which is 4%. 4/9. Now, again, if I could get it out of 100, I would, but 9 times something equals 100, that's not easy to do in my head. And so another way to do it is to first change the fraction to a decimal. So if I do 4 divided by 9, I'm going to get 4 here, 36. I subtract, I get 4. Hey, I'm going to have a repeating decimal. And so it'd be 4, 4, 4. The 4s would keep on repeating. 4/9 is a decimal, 0.44444444444444444. Now I need to make it a percent. So if I remember, I'm going from decimal to percent, from D to P. So I need to go to the right. I need to go 2 times. To the right, to the right. I get 44, but not just 44%. 44.4 repeating, because those 4s never end. Even if we move the decimal point, the 4s keep on going. So if it is a repeating decimal, like 1/3, 1/3 is 0.3333333333. That would be 33.3 repeating percent because the decimals keep on going. Percents to fractions. Now this one's a little bit easier. Percents are always out of 100. So 25%, 25 out of 100. Of course, we can reduce that. We can divide both of these by 25, divided by 25, and we get 1/4 as a fraction. And 60%, same idea, 60 out of 100. Percents are always, always, always out of 100. That's their beauty, that's their trick, that's the wonderfulness of them. I can divide that by 10, I can divide it by 2, so I can divide it by 20. And I'm going to get, what, 3 5/5. There we go. So changing percents to fractions, not so bad. We just make it into a fraction out of 100, always out of 100, and reduce. Fractions to percents, you have 2 options. You can either divide and get a decimal. It always works. You have a calculator. Or you can think, well, 1/25th, if I multiply by 4, I'll get 4 over 100, which is a 4%. But you can always change it to decimal first and then move the decimal to the right, to the right. With the sub, why don't you go ahead and try these 2. So sub, thank you for being here today. Please pause it. Have them try these on their own. And then when everybody's tried it and maybe have a couple volunteers to show it up on the board, you can unpause it and we'll move from there. I'm going to assume you paused it. I'm going to assume you tried it. You did it on your own. You have it up on the board. Here we go. This is your assignment. Your assignment is a little bit bigger than this, but it's the same idea. You're going to get 3 columns, fractions, decimals, percents. You are only going to get one of those numbers. In the first case here, we only have the decimal. You have to then change it into a percent and a fraction. So decimal, 0.35, 35%. Now, I know percents are out of 100. So that's 35 out of 100, which I can reduce. I can divide them both by 5 and get 7/20. Yes, you have to reduce. You do always have to reduce. The only time you don't have to reduce is if I've already given you the fraction. If this was 20 over 100 instead of 19 over 100, you can leave it because I gave it to you like that. 19 over 100 is 19 hundredths or 19%, and you get the idea. 20 over 100 is going to be 1/5 as a fraction, or 20%. 7%, be careful, 7% is not 0.7. That's 70%. 7% is 7 out of 100, which is 7 hundredths, which is not 0.7. It's 0.07. Be very careful. Easy mistake to make because you see the 7, you know it goes as a decimal, but remember that we move the decimal to the left 2 times, which would make it 0.07 as a decimal. Okay, so that's the assignment. You should have notes then for Friday night's material, and then I'll see you on Monday.